Good morning, everyone. I welcome you here to the King's Table. It's your boy Big Truck. Part two of Run Tell That. If you got the video yesterday, part one, basically explaining my time in the wilderness, of how it took place, what was done to me, not what was done, but how things were done. And I'm quite sure the video, a large number of men and women can relate, because y'all have been there. Now we're wrapping it up with part two. And I have 5 points that I want to make. Got my ginger root tea with my turmeric and my Irish sea moss. Got to take care of the body. Got to be healthy. Number one, healing. My time in the wilderness, I had to heal. And how I healed, not only that I received counseling from 7 different individuals that Elohim put in my path. Before I continue, bless up on this Shabbat, on this holy Shabbat day. Healing. I had to heal. When I tell you that I went through any and every emotion possible, I went through that. I've even suffered 2 mild heart attacks. You think she came to the hospital to come see me? No. But it just goes to show you, when a person has done something wrong, they will distance themselves from you. And as I shared yesterday about blame shifting, take the blame off themselves and put it on you. Now the family and friends are looking at you crazy. Remember, for every action, there's a reaction. You got to heal. I had to heal. I had to take time out for myself. I had to look at myself, examine myself. I had to put myself in a place. It's almost like I had to close myself off from any and everybody and deal with those emotions, deal with those feelings. Because as a man, we were taught, get over it. You got to move forward. You got to move on. You got to move on with your life. Let it go. No, men bleed too. Men bleed too. Men have a right to express how they feel. Men have a right to speak their truth and let their soul speak. If women can do it, men can do it too. Taking accountability. That's all. It seems like in this generation, with a large number of women, do not want to take responsibility. Well, guess what? You're going to be held accountable. You got to take accountability. Large number of men too. I had to take accountability. I had to forgive myself for allowing this person to take me for granted, to misuse me, to hurt me. I had to take accountability. I had to look at myself instead of, see, a lot of people run from themselves and their past will show up. It don't matter where you run to. I don't care if you on the East Coast and you move to the West Coast. If you ain't dealt with your past, it will follow you to the West Coast. I don't know. I don't go backwards. I won't do. You don't know what you will do. You don't know what Yeshua will have you do. Very important. Take accountability for your actions, for your behavior. I'm gonna sip this tea while that marinate. Reading between the lines. Point number 3, reading between the lines. King and queens, I had to read between the lines of everything. Like I shared in the other video, even Stevie Wonder can see that my ex-wife was out of order. I'm like, how come her peoples don't see this, but my peoples do? It's just a matter of time. You have some people that will stick up for others knowing that they wrong. Oh, 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 oh. Yes, I'm going there. You have some people that will stick up for others knowing that they wrong. How does that work? How are you going to get on me for doing something, but in fact, you've done the same thing too? I just haven't called you on it. Some things are petty and we have to pick our battles. But if a person has stepped out of the marriage, or B, their past showed up and bust them in their mouth and rocked a snot box, as my boy Hassan Campbell says, they'll look for a reason to run or exit the marriage or relationship. And when you don't give them a leg to stand on, watch this. They will even bring up things that happened in the past. Just like in my situation. She brought up stuff that happened a year ago. But we just got done celebrating our first year wedding anniversary. If it was a problem or an issue, how come you didn't share it then? Think about it. See, reading between the lines. When you take that time to reflect, Elohim removes the scales from your eyes, opens you up. Now you begin to see. You begin to see things clearly that you didn't see before. You will start to notice things that you didn't notice before. AKA, you begin to connect the dots. And that right there, king, queens, that is what happened. I begin to connect the dots. Yeshua began to show me it had nothing to do with what you did. You didn't do anything. It was her. And now people are starting to connect the dots. Like I said in the other video, I don't look for sympathy. I don't look for any of that. That ain't my thing. I share my truth and I keep it moving. You know why? That brings me to point number 4, knowing self-worth. Knowing who you are and whose you are in your worth. This was my first time being married. I'll get married again. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe that Elohim did this for a reason. See, sometimes he sees things that the average eye don't see, that we don't see. And hearing his voice, listen, I had a heart. My trust in Yeshua was lukewarm. And through this whole thing, I heard his voice. Will you trust me? Will you trust me in the midst of your season? Will you trust me in the midst of your storm? Will you trust me? I never knew. I never would have thought that I would be divorced after 14 months. Never would have thought. be another statistic of unnecessary divorces. This was unnecessary. However, that's me and my flesh. Let's let's get out the flesh, tap into the spirit. And the spirit, he saw things. We both wasn't ready. We Yes, we did work on ourselves, but Elohim shows us there's more work to be done. A good man, a good woman's work is never done. You see? I'm not going to sit up here and throw darts at my ex, but I will say right is right and wrong is wrong. And now certain people are starting to see it. Certain people are starting to say, wait a minute, something is not right. Maybe there's something about you that you never shared with us that you kept in the closet. It goes back again. How is it that you've been married now 3 times, divorced 3 times, and neither of the marriages ever last over 5 years? Why do you keep running from yourself instead of facing yourself? Face your past. There are good men and women out there, but those that have not dealt with their past, they run up against a wall when it comes to their love life. And I'm going to say that again. And I'm going to come close. If you never dealt with your past, you will run up against a wall when it comes to your love life. Point number 5, having peace of mind. I have so much peace. When I uprooted and relocated, I'm going to tell you, from my legal advisor, my spiritual advisors, families, and friends. See, a true friend is going to tell you where you're right at and where you're wrong at. A true friend is going to tell you, you need to fix that if you out of order. You took that way too far. That's what a true friend will say. Still going to love you, but I'm going to tee off in you because you're wrong. A lot of people want to take it to social media. Oh, I'm having the best life ever, but you know you're wrong. The mask comes off. The whole marriage was a lie. The whole relationship was a lie. Everything was a lie. No, no. And I kept apologizing and apologizing. Even my dad is like, why are you apologizing? And I'm like, well, Dad, she said this. Why are you apologizing? Dad, this is, my dad just sat there and said, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. And then it hit. Ding! It had nothing to do with what I did. Because what I did was nothing. I played some parts in it. I admit I went on Facebook and I announced it. Yeah, but you already announced it way before then. You were ready to bounce before your birthday. Some people don't like to be exposed. I don't talk about my marriage to people. We have guy talk. I don't have insecurity issues. Now it begins to make sense. See, when you sit back and you listen, and then you think about I think about the conversations that we had when we were dating. Okay, now, see, I had that time to reflect. And when I had that time to reflect and rewind the tape of conversations that we've had, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. See? And going through all of that, I know for a fact it's hard to have your heart ripped out and crushed and stomped on, to get put out of your own home, to be told, I don't even want to be married to you. But you know what? I never cussed her out, never called her out her name, never put hands on her, but I still went to work. I still helped provide it. I don't just lay up in somebody's house. No, I still help provide it. Even after you put me out, I still helped. Until my own family and friends were like, stop, stop. Trying to do the right thing, fight for my marriage, going to counseling, doing 12 sessions. She only did one intro session and one session with my god brother, Bishop Jarvis Hines, and Miss Vanessa Hines. He said she was ready. She was ready to bounce way before then. The decision was already been made then. But there's a lot of things that were not being said. Well, part one of Run Tell Dat, part two of Run Tell Dat. It's being said, talking about it. You don't get to do somebody wrong and then run from it. Well, if I don't talk about it, it can go away. When you're married to someone, both parties are at fault when things happen. When you have a storm, you have to know who you can count on to have your back and to be there. I was there through our storm. I was not quick to throw in the towel and then play the victim. No, I take responsibility. If I did it, I'm going to own it because I did it. I said it. So I'm going to own it. Like point number two, taking accountability. But because I did one through four, number five, I have a peace of mind. I've walked away from this thing with my hands clean because I know I did my part as a husband. I've never once stepped out the marriage. I've never once disrespected the covenant nor the marriage. I went to work and came home as a family man should. I loved her for children. I did the right things. Do I have flaws? Yes, I do. And I'm man enough to admit it. Yes, I'm not perfect. I do have flaws. But when it comes to the covenant and the marriage, I honor that. I respect that. I did everything I was supposed to do, even down to going to counseling and paid for it. That she never showed. So how can you tell me about doing work that you never done yourself? In the midst of that, getting hit with the divorce, didn't know you was pregnant, got hit with that because you didn't notify me. Then when I asked to come home and take care of you, got hit with that, got rejected. Then had to Go back and amend my relationship with my mother. I was hit with a whole lot. Mild heart attacks. I was hit with some stuff. But through it all, I found my strength and I found my peace. And Yeshua's put me in a good position. And I give him the honor, the glory, and praise for it. To get selected to play for Team USA, Cancun, Mexico, 2019. Man, first championship ring, Team USA, and about to get another one. 6 championship rings. I don't owe nobody nothing. Ain't nothing you can say. 3 awards, 4 plaques. What? Not bragging, but I'm saying the things that I've accomplished, I sacrificed. I bust my butt and worked hard. And I give Elohim the honor and glory and the praise because he opened up doors. But he also had to close some too. My reason for this, kings and queens, is that there are good men. There are good women. And it's sad. It is so sad that you have good men and good women that do the right things for the wrong people and get taken for granted, get hurt. Those that those that have been hurt will hurt others. There's a lot of blame shifting. Well, I'm gonna take the blame off myself and I'm gonna put it on this person. You did this. You did this. You did this. You did this. I. Sounds familiar? Instead of saying, wait a minute, let's sit down at the red table and have a conversation. All of this could have been avoided, but there's a motive behind it. Things don't just happen. I knew something didn't sit right with my spirit when I met the boy's father. I just didn't say nothing, trying to be respectful, being cordial. See, I can go deeper than this, but I'm not going to. See, this is why the individual won't talk to me. Truth. When you're guilty of something that you've done, you're not going to speak to a person because of the shame. You got to understand, what if the shoe was on the other foot? Boy, if the shoe was on the other foot. But it's through my pain, my storm, that I found my strength, my peace, and my purpose. My purpose is to start this show. My purpose is to build this brand, The King's Table. My purpose is to address, empower men, the broken men, bringing the masculine man back, the king back, allowing the king to take his own place, his rightful place, as a king should, as a leader, as a provider, as a voice, a healer, protector, and so forth. as a king, this is who you are. You were a king before you were even born. On the other hand, I welcome the queens. You want to hear or get certain things from a male's perspective, or should I say the truth from the male's perspective, I welcome that too as well. Because this is a platform so that we can all grow. So we don't get caught up in this worldly way of thinking of how relationships supposed to go. But at least we have a place where you can be yourself with no judgment. Voice what you want to voice. It's not about putting somebody on blast or throwing darts at or taking shots at someone. No. But I'm going to tell you where you're right at and where you're wrong at. And we got to look at self. And we got to take accountability. We have to do that. And if we have unfinished business in our past, we have to go back and take care of that business. Because if we don't, we're going to always hit a wall when it comes to our love life. It's just simple as that, kings and queens. But now that I've spoken my truth, I've shared, and like I said, Run Tell That Part 1. This is Run Tell That Part 2. Now you know. Because I'm quite sure acquiring minds wanted to know what was it that I went through in 2019 and 2020. Because you on fire, Delante. You are on fire. You have a lot of word in you. There's some things in you. Truck. There's a lot of people that need to hear your testimony. This is how I made it through those 5 components. And here's the best version of myself. I enjoy living everyday life. When I wake up in the morning, it's just a blessing and so beautiful. It's about roses, not weeds. And this platform is going to grow. Really, really grow. So, on that note, I'm going to end this by saying, I love you. Go out there and be the best version of yourself. Let your light shine for many to see. Sure.